And just a reminder that when we're off the air, we're still live on Facebook.
Okay.
We're now live on Facebook, so good morning, Facebook people.
Good morning.
As the millions start tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jerry will give me cues as we're getting closer to commercial time.
Oh, right.
So when I throw up fingers, that's how much time's left. So
Okay.
3 minutes, 2 minutes, second.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a delay. This is on a delay. This is not. So.
Okay. Wait, Facebook's on a delay. The radio's not.
Yeah.
Great.
Probably because of my timing. So. Yes, the radio's not. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they have a little thing there. Always be mindful of your on-air language.
Try to keep it clean.
Exactly. And the headphones will typically be a little bit louder when we're on the show than they are like right now. So just be aware.
Okay. There's this knob down here.
Yes, and there's two there, so I think it should be like a left and right.
I don't see one knob.
Well, there's an inner and a ring.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Interesting.
Okay, Mark, lead off and show Eric how we do this.
You got it, Jerry.
Because I don't know how we do it.
Yeah. Jerry's been doing it forever. All right, Jerry. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. All right.
Hello, testing.
Five minutes.
6 seconds.
I
I like the exact timing.
Yes, absolutely. Then this gets rebroadcast at 6 o'clock, I think, on Wednesday nights.
Oh, okay.
Unless it gets preempted by the River Cats. In which case, we're not
Nice.
on. And they used to, I think, Davis Basketball. You see Davis Basketball.
Oh, really?
Station too, I think.
Okay.
Mints.
I don't know. I never listened to the
Or
basketball.
Sex Day.
It's another one I look forward to taking the kids to. It's high school and then college sporting events are great. Near free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kids get a ton of enjoyment out of watching the big kids play.
Yes. Yeah. My youngest daughter, our oldest daughter, played basketball through freshman year. I think she played freshman in Morocco and then was done. And then our youngest played a little bit, like the hot shots kind of
Yeah.
rec league stuff.
Yep.
And so I took her one time with a buddy to a Sac State men's game. So,
Nice.
yeah, that was fun.
Our oldest is definitely interested in basketball.
Is
So
that right?
that's good. Yeah, she's signed up for the winter, and
Oh, cool.
This will be her first co-ed team.
Ooh.
So
That's interesting. A
Yeah.
co-ed team.
yeah,
It's a whole different game.
should be
Yeah.
should be fun. She's pretty
All
good. She's
age
relatively
pure,
tall. Yeah,
and
all
then-
age based, and she likes it. So.
That's good. That's good. What other sports? Starting to get into golf?
Yeah, they've started taking a liking to golf.
Which is great because there's golf
Gymnastics
scholarships for women that go unused.
Trust me,
I
that's exactly what I'm looking for.
know. I tried to push my girls there.
Yeah.
Would've been good.
Gymnastics.
Nice,
Our youngest
nice.
is interested in ballet, so I mean, just try, see what you like.
Yeah. Our both girls, all of our girls did gymnastics, and they all did dance of some sort. But then our middle one really took to dance and was actually on the high dance team for 3 years and loved it. So our youngest one's taken to running, so she's
Oh,
been
cool.
cross country for a number of years and put all our girls on the run. And she's looking at she might do track this year for the first time. So she likes a lot of
We just keep trying to introduce them to things
Yeah,
and see what
yeah.
sticks.
We had them all in jiu-jitsu at one time,
Oh,
so they
that's
call it a little
interesting.
self defense. So then they're like, they don't remember much because it's been, I don't know, 6, 7 years. So
It's an art that if you're not practicing it regularly.
yeah, we just want to give them some tools so that
Yep.
they're ready in case
In case something ever happens.
Yeah.
Hope it doesn't, but always want to be prepared.
Yeah. What was your bachelor's in?
Computer science,
Okay. And a master's?
economics.
Okay. Do you use that much in your present role?
Neither are directly used in the present world, no. Felt like I learned a lot. I gained a lot of valuable experience, most of it being around my peers, honestly.
Sure.
The computer science degree was a lot about learning what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So that was useful
Yeah.
to me, but and it was an incredible experience to be able to work for Apple and do some software development, to learn. I thought I was great at this, but man, I do not have what it takes.
How long were you there?
I worked for Apple for 4 years,
Wow.
3.5 years during college, and it was that was 3 of those years were spent doing tech support, and 6 months of that was an internship in Cupertino doing internal software development. And I realized, man, I don't have what it takes to do this work.
Yeah. Tech support on Apple products.
Yep. And that's kind of how I started.
My iPhone,
consulting.
the phone's died in my iPhone.
There
The
you
phone
go.
aspect, it doesn't work.
Phone aspect
The
doesn't
phone
work?
aspect doesn't work. So
You still get
maybe
data.
you could take a look at
That's
it.
exactly. That's what I do. That's
I
every
know,
day.
like yes.
It's like
Yeah, I
being
still
at
get
family
data.
dinner
I can
anymore.
text. I can have actually. I mean, I've been on some phone calls, but then they drop off after like 3 to 4 minutes. And the mic, should we check the mic? I don't know.
And this is consistent after reboots on this. Take that. Good enough.
Sweet. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Numbers on Monday 1055. This is your host, Mark Bellows. I'm a tax principal, CPA with Clifton Larson Allen in the Roseville office. CLA is a national firm with offices throughout the U.S. and affiliations with firms throughout the globe. And I work on manufacturers and distributors, contractors, real estate investors and developers, the businesses, their owners, that sort of thing. Tax planning, tax strategy, trying to help everyone figure out what the heck's going on with the new tax law, all that kind of stuff. In fact, I actually have a couple of tax webinars coming up that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be presenting on the new Section 199 Cap A, which is a 20% deduction for qualified businesses. And if you want to find out what in the world that all means, go to our CLAconnect.com website and you can find links to the webinar series. And I'm doing one for contractors in September 20th, I believe, and then one for manufacturers and distributors in mid-October-ish kind of time frame. So my number 916-784-7800, and you can also get a hold of me, mark.bellows@claconnect.com. And then in addition to all of that, I also host this fine radio show and have great guests like today. So today we've got Eric Johnson, who is a partner with GNT Solutions. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. First time on the radio?
First time ever.
You're doing great, Eric. Look at that. Welcome. So maybe tell us a little bit about what GNT Solutions is and does.
Sure. So we are a managed IT services provider. We're headquartered here in Sacramento, and we perform the IT support for companies that are typically in the 20 to 200 employee size. We handle everything from help desk issues. You know, when employees have problems with their computers, they call us. We do their network infrastructure management, their server management, their information security management, as well as discuss IT strategy.
So you can do it all. And you doesn't have to be a local company, does it?
Almost all of our clients have some sort of presence here in
Okay.
Sacramento.
Okay.
So we do, pride ourselves on being a local provider. We can be on site rapidly. We do support a lot of satellite offices in
Okay.
the Bay Area, Southern California, Reno, even as far away as Hawaii, and then New Zealand. We have a client with a satellite office in New Zealand.
Oh, nice. New Zealand. Have you gone down there yet?
I have not, actually. We just were in Hawaii, though, working on a client site about a month and a half ago.
Oh, really? Well, which island?
It's on Kauai.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, did you get a chance to have any kind of like personal time there, or was it fly in, work, and fly out?
It wasn't me. It was actually one of our
Okay.
employees. But yeah, he turned it into he did some work on 2 days, and then turned it into a little bit of a family vacation for the weekend.
Which is not always easy to do. I've had clients in nice locations before, but sometimes, or seminars or conferences, but sometimes you just, you come in, you work, you leave, and like it's almost like you're in
Logistically speaking, it's kind of a difficult thing. You got to get the family over there.
Yeah,
and you're
oh,
also
yeah.
spending the days in the office for the client were long. We were doing a network setup for them.
Right.
And so not a lot of time to spend with the family on those days. But again, it's basically a free flight to Hawaii for the
Sure.
family, and
Right.
it's nice to be able to spend at least a weekend with them there.
Absolutely, yeah. So how long has GNT Solutions, how long have you guys been in business?
Yeah, so we're actually in our 15th year right now. We'll be celebrating a full 15 years of operating next March. Looking forward to planning a party around that.
Nice. So 15 years. So have you been part of it since the beginning?
I have not. I've actually only been on board with GNT for the past year.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was a partner in another, actually competing managed IT services firm. And we were acquired by a national company about 6 years ago now. And I actually went from there to work as internal IT for River City Bank here in Sacramento. I headed up the IT department there, as well as information security for the bank.
Okay.
And
how long were you there?
I was there until 2016. 2017. Sorry, and left the bank and came back to the world of managed IT services. Joined my partner Todd Bullenbach. We've actually brought another partner on board as well, and we've got about 20 people here in Sacramento. It's been great. We've been growing very nicely.
That's great. Great. So 20 people here in Sac, and then other people in other locations, or
Nope,
just Sac? Okay.
just Sacramento. All of our employees are here. We have an office in Natomas. We're centrally located.
Nice, nice. So you were River City Bank. Before that, you were at this company that got acquired. So were you with the company prior to acquisition, and then post acquisition?
I was. I stayed on post acquisition for a year.
So how was that? The difference? Sometimes I've been part of companies that have been through mergers and stuff, and sometimes that can be nice and smooth and works out great, and sometimes it can be a real challenge.
Yeah, it was. Nothing's perfect, right? But I think we had a little bit more of a challenge due to some shakeup in that company, in the acquiring company's senior management. The board made a decision and got rid of the company president, the founder of that company, very quickly after we merged with them. And I think that set changed our trajectory, if you will. But overall, it was a learning experience, I think, for me and for our staff. And we survived, and I learned a lot from it, and I was able to take advantage of a great position at River City after that.
Well, good. So, and before that, where were you at?
Before that, I was mostly a student at UC Davis. I was an undergraduate in computer science, and went to grad school for a master's in economics.
And not only that, but you grew up in Davis, right?
I grew up
Davis High.
Davis High School, class of '98. Go Blue Devils.
So Davis.
Davis. My
Yes.
wife went to Davis High, and we live in Davis currently. So yeah, we're very much entrenched in the Davis community.
But you mentioned there was a time when you were in Cupertino.
I did. I worked for Apple as an intern between my junior and senior years at Davis, and I interned in Cupertino doing software development. I got my start actually in learning about how to do help desk and managed IT services work. Really working to help the phone tech support for Apple part-time during college, and I transitioned from that into starting my own consulting company right out of college. And it started off with home user support, and that transitioned to, and it was mostly Mac-based, because that was my experience.
Right.
That transitioned to doing work for small businesses, and I got some knowledge in working on Windows computers, and met a business partner, and we started a company, and rolling forward, our clients got larger and larger, our environments got more and more complex. My knowledge grew, and here I am with GNT Solutions, and we're kind of continuing on that path of managing infrastructures and handling network security for our small and mid-sized business clients.
So you said 20 to 200 employees? Is
That's
that
the typical size for us.
Okay.
You know, large enough where they have a recurring need for IT support,
Right.
but not large enough where they can afford to pay for a professionally managed internal IT department. I mean, gone are the days really of the one-person IT department. It's too much risk there.
Should be gone.
Yeah, it should be gone. That's what we replaced there.
Yeah, there probably are those still around,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
to your point, risk.
Absolutely right. We've got a professional team. We're well managed, and we slot in very well for those companies that are in that kind of 20 to 200 person range.
All right, well, we're talking with Eric Johnson, with partner with GNT Solutions, based here in Sacramento. We are going to take a commercial break, and when we get back, we'll continue the conversation. It's a short break, this one.
Oh, so 30 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
Minute?
I think the one at the half hour is a little longer, but it's maybe 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's super long.
And what time does the segment end?
The show.
The show, I should say.
Yeah,
So,
no.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8:06 to 9.
Yeah. Usually I start that around 8, and the video is about 56 to 58 minutes long, so we must end at 8:56.
Gotcha. And then you're back to the office?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the office, and this time of year is super busy, so.
You got to extend the
Yeah.
September 15th
Yeah,
deadline?
September 15th for businesses, and then
October 15th for
individuals.
personal.
And so both, I just have a lot going on, like September 15th especially, I got a few.
You were with Galena prior to the CLA
Yep.
acquisition. How'd that go for you guys?
Really well, actually. I mean, you lose some people, unfortunately, because we went from being a large regional firm to a large national firm, and so some people, they came from national firms. And
They're like, I didn't want to do this.
Yeah, and I think we're different. I was with PwC. I think CLA is different than PwC in terms of the way it's run and managed, but to get that across to people is a challenge. We're back. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers on my 105.5. This is your host, Mark Bellows, a tax principal with Clifton Larson Allen in the Roseville office, 916-784-7800 if you want to get a hold of me. Or you can email me, mark.bellows@claconnect.com. I'm a tax guy, tax planning, tax strategy, tax compliance, and in the midst of being super busy with September and October 15th deadlines and that kind of stuff. And so, but I always have time for a phone call if you want, or respond to an email if I can. And so today we're talking with Eric Johnson, partner with GNT Solutions. If you want to get a hold of Eric, it's ejohnson@gntsolutions.com. You can also call the number 916-830-9400. So, the types of solutions you guys do, it's a complete solution for a company typically?
Typically, yes. So we handle anything that as we joke, it's anything that plugs into the wall.
So you're their IT department?
We are their IT
Does that
department.
include phones as well?
It oftentimes does, yes. It's not our area of expertise, but
Right.
we will work with another phone vendor for troubleshooting.
Okay.
We're kind of their first point of contact for any technology problems. So that means, if you're having just Windows issues on your workstation, you're having problems connecting into Microsoft Office 365, or you're having a problem getting access to Google applications, your file server, access to web-based apps. Those issues, our clients would call into our help desk for those. And then from there, we triage it and figure out whether it's a workstation issue, a server issue, a network issue, an information security issue. And then from there, we tackle and solve the problem.
So, all types of businesses? Is anything
We
that
do.
that you guys specifically would focus on, or does it?
We do have a bit of a concentration in construction and engineering,
Okay.
but we are pretty diverse from a client base. Again, the majority of our businesses have run Microsoft Windows networks. We do about
Right.
5 to 10% are Mac based, but the majority are Windows based networks.
Well, Microsoft did a great job getting the business
That sure did.
clientele, and that's the reason. But I think the reason for the growth really is with the businesses. So it makes sense that would be the bulk of what you see up there.
Yep.
Do you see it trending more towards away from Windows and more towards Max or something, or is it kind of
No,
the same?
I think the Microsoft platform is pretty heavily utilized and continues to be heavily utilized in the business space. You
Yeah.
get there's more and more solutions out there that are being leveraged that aren't Microsoft, but again, the operating systems that people are
Right.
using day to day on their machines are still Windows-based operating systems. Same thing for servers.
So I would imagine, I'm just going to kind of go free flow here, but I would imagine that most people in businesses nowadays kind of just have, do they have just like a terminal and not a hard drive, or we still have a lot of hard drives out
It
there?
totally depends.
Okay.
So we have clients that leverage a traditional, call them PC tower machine at their desk. A lot of people have laptops. A lot of people are operating off of Microsoft Surface tablets or iPads. And the push to mobile is definitely here, and
Right.
there's several of, especially executives, that can be fully functional off of their iPhone, for example.
Yep.
Then we've got clients typically in highly standardized environments. You may have what's called a thin client or a zero client on a desktop, which is essentially like a dumb terminal. Remember those old green screens back in the day? There's no real hard drive there. It's just a display that shows a remote desktop screen, and they're interacting with a server session.
And is that how it was at River City Bank?
We had a lot of zero clients actually at River City Bank, no operating system, just leveraging it.
Because that's right.
Virtual
I
desktops.
would think I've seen them a lot in places like that. Is that? I wonder if that's, excuse me, if that's the way it is more so in regulated environments like banking and financial services and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's also larger environments. You get some benefits, some economies of scale of going with an actual virtualized desktop infrastructure environment.
Mm-hmm.
At River City, you're absolutely right. From a security standpoint, from a highly regulated standpoint, our auditors and examiners loved the fact that every time an employee logs off their machine, essentially their desktop is thrown away. That virtualized instance is deleted from the disk, and a new one is spawned off of what's called a gold master image. So that it worked out very well from an information security standpoint.
Yeah, I could imagine so. Oh, man. So I've got something.
Usually I'm the one doing that.
Some kind of frog in my throat this morning. So, so you guys work with all types of businesses. Like you said, 20 to 200 employees.
That's correct.
The ones that don't have an internal, or what did you say, their own managed IT?
Yeah, so typically if you're less than, in our experience, if you're less than 200 employees, the budget just isn't there to have a professionally managed IT department. And for us, that means you've got to have some level of redundancy in positions. So if you're going to have a help desk person in your IT department, you really can't get by with just one. You need two. And same thing with network engineers and server management. You can't just have one of these employees, because what happens if you have a problem and that employee's out on vacation, right?
Right.
Or if they're sick, or if they decide to give their 2 weeks notice and they're gone. It takes a while to actually, post a job position and then hire an employee to replace that person who leaves. So for us, again, this is biased, but we recommend outsourcing to a firm like GNT Solutions that functionality, where we have a team of almost 20 or 19 employees in size. We've got that contingency, we've got that redundancy built in place, so that you're managed by a team of support professionals.
Right.
And if on the busy days, we've still got staff to cover, and if somebody's out sick, we've got people there. And another thing too is that we have growth opportunities within our organization, that when it comes to IT, not many 20 to 200 person companies can really offer great IT growth. It's just
Right.
not their focus.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned the redundancy, and that's very important to have, and not just clearly in your line of work, but I mean, we talk about cross training in all types of businesses, and it's really important to have that redundancy. But I think, like you said, yeah, if you've got one person and he or she is sick or busy or out or updating something, you could be stuck.
That's correct.
So when clients sign up with GNT Solutions, do they typically do like a monthly service fee kind of arrangement?
Correct. So we model our services as an all-inclusive flat fee type of service, just like they would be paying for an internal staff member or department. It's a predictable service fee that they will pay every single month. It depends on the size of the organization and the complexity of the network environment as to what that fee actually is. But that way you get a predictable IT spend, you know what it's going to cost you each month to support your network, and you get truly proactive infrastructure support. the prior business model used to leverage like a typical hourly billable hours model.
Right.
And the problem with that is it puts we have conflicting interests in that situation. We're making our most money when the client's having the most network problems, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you go with flat fee, and we're both on the same page. We're both incentivized to make sure that network is performing with as minimal issues for users as possible.
The customer's not hesitant to call.
That's
So
correct.
was,
It's
but
free.
cost
It's not
any
costing anything extra.
And you guys aren't, not in their mind anyway, you're not going to be potentially camping out.
Correct. Yeah, we're incentivized to get the job done as quickly as
Yeah.
possible, make sure the problem doesn't come back again, because all it's going to do is cost us time, and we're not going to be making any incremental dollars on that.
So what, let's just talk about maybe some of the kind of issues you guys run across. I would imagine there's a whole lot of like viruses that people somehow get into their system.
Yeah, from a security standpoint, it's less about viruses. Ransomware is a big one these days, and really this starts by way of, most of the time nowadays, these infiltrations of malware into a network come by way of social engineering or phishing employees. So it's very easy for an attacker to develop a customized email, or looks customized and very targeted, but it's all done automated, in an automated fashion, and blast an email out to millions of recipients that all looks like it's a custom tailored message just for them or just for their company, and to try to trick people to click the link or to open an executable or open an attachment. And once an employee of one of our clients does that, then we're on the defensive mode at that point. Right. We're leveraging our antivirus tools, our intrusion prevention mechanisms to try to detect it. A lot of our work goes into trying to educate companies and educate staff, and it's one of the recommendations we have is to reach out. We do this for our clients as a part of our service. We'll do a kind of initial baseline test of how prone they are to social engineering or phishing. We'll send a mass email out and see who clicks on it.
Well, our internal CLA IT does that. Our security
Yep.
does it every once in a while. And you see them, and I've so far as I know, I haven't clicked on any.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the most effective, is the continuous training. That's a
Yeah.
service that we do offer for clients as well. It does come with a cost, but that continuous training that goes on and testing for staff members, it's big.
So if someone gets one of these ransomware type things, it can really be problematic.
Cripple their network.
Yeah.
You see these stories all the time of major companies getting hit. You don't see the stories on the news of the small companies getting hit. It happens all the time. But
Sure.
the major companies with, comparatively speaking, infinite IT budgets are getting hit with ransomware. And what it does is it goes out and encrypts all of the files on file shares, as well as employees' computers, makes that data inaccessible. It holds it ransom for a decryption key, which typically is paid for in Bitcoin. And if the organization doesn't have a strong disaster recovery program in place, they can be held hostage to pay for these things. We standardize on, darn near every single one of our clients leverages the same backup solution that we standardize on, and
So
promote it here. But
let's say just I'll put this out simply. Let's say simply someone backs up their stuff every night.
yeah.
And so if they backed it up Thursday night at 5, and then Friday morning they get hit with this ransomware, then theoretically you could get rid of whatever's happened Friday and go back to Thursday.
Well, that's in
Again, to keep it
theory.
real simple.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a couple things there. One, you want to make sure that those backups aren't being stored on the Windows-based network. A lot of organizations do that. They store their backups locally. Yeah, and then the backups get encrypted when the ransomware runs.
Oops.
That's one of the things our solution does not do.
Okay.
We keep those off the traditional Windows-based network. We also don't just back up every night. Our typical standard is to back up every hour.
Okay.
And so that recoverability is much, you don't need to lose nearly as much data in the event that something happens.
No kidding. Yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Backup every hour. That's good. So ransomware is a big one. What else are you guys seeing out there?
The financial kind of social engineering for getting wire payments, wire transactions, or the big one too is W-2 data. So typically when targeting financial transactions, they're looking at CFOs, controllers of organizations, and spoofing an email that looks to be from a vendor or maybe from executive leadership within the organization to try to get wire payments processed. So that's a big one that we see and train on, yes. And then for HR departments, oftentimes, and this happens coincides right with tax time and the beginning of the year, right? As the year end has occurred and everyone's W-2s have been generated, social engineers will try to reach out to people in the HR department purporting to be the CEO, for example, and saying, hey, we've got some due diligence we're working on. Please send me over a PDF of all of our employees' W-2 information. And then, of course, what happens from that is fraudulent tax returns get filed and fraudulent refunds are had by attackers.
So someone, and we're going to go to commercial real quick, but let's say someone in HR gets that. I mean, what should they do? Should they pick up a phone and call the CEO or his or her secretary and say, did you really want this?
Yeah, it's called out-of-band verification. So
Okay.
you don't go by email. If you get it
Respond
by
to the
email,
email.
don't respond
Yeah,
to the email. Pick up
right.
the phone. Go on a known good, and don't call the number that's at the bottom of the email
Yeah.
either. Call a known good number.
Okay. Well, thanks. So we're talking with Eric Johnson here, partner with GNT Solutions. We're going to take a break to listen to Beyond the Numbers.
It's fun.
Good.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I obviously don't know as much about your world, but certainly I know in mine, like the IRS, people are always getting hit by IRS scams, right? Or from the IRS, supposed to be IRS. And it's like, one of the things, for instance, is they will never, ever call you. Ever. Right? I mean, they just...
I get calls all the time on
But
fake
people
fall for it. All it
for
takes
that.
is like 0.1% of people.
Yeah.
It costs no money to
Yeah.
send to make these calls,
Yeah.
these robocalls.
And it's just amazing me that, like, I mean, what I guess what amazes me is how people aren't educated about the fact that, for instance, the IRS will never call you. If it's a call, it's not the IRS.
Correct.
And they're generally not going to send out an email unless they've corresponded to you with an email before and that they've gotten your okay to do that. Same thing. If they send out an email that says from the IRS, it's not from the IRS. But people don't realize that.
Yeah.
People are susceptible to that. So
It's so scary. It's like the thing that keeps me up at night. It's the thing that kept me up at night when I was responsible for that at the bank. It's just it's a scary world out there. So much of what impacts us on a day-to-day basis is completely outside of our control. We have no control over how our employees or clients
Sure.
respond to various emails that they receive.
yeah.
And even though we have spam filtration and that blocks like 99% of malicious emails that come through, again, all it takes is one, not even 1%, one email.
Yeah, right. If it's 99%, and if it's
Yeah.
a million
emails,
hit, then
that's
1% is a big
lot.
number.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going through, so. Yeah, certainly no filter or program can be 100% foolproof.
No
So you
one
need
layer,
that.
no one information security layer is a be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
You need
So it
a
can
very
be
layered support.
education,
Correct.
verification.
Multiple tools, multiple layers.
Yeah.
Education's a big one. Training the end user. They're oftentimes the last line of defense, if you will.
Sure.
And it's stressful.
Yeah.
Information security. We're always on the defense. We never get to go on offense. It's like
Yeah.
try to win a football game when you can't
Yeah.
ever be offensive.
You're never on offense. You either have to score defensively
Exactly.
or you don't score.
Yeah, you can't even score. Actually, there's no scoring either. You can't even score on defense. You
You
just,
try to
the
keep the
best
zero
you can do is
zero.
tie. It's the scary truth is that every day we go to battle and the best we can hope for is a tie. It's rough.
Yeah, that's stressful.
Yeah.
Definitely stressful.
I used to joke with the president of the bank that there's only one way I can move this needle, and it's in the wrong direction. I like moving the needle, right? Moving the needle in a
Yeah.
meaningful direction. Then when you head up information security for a bank, you can't move it positively, meaningfully. There's only one way, and that's if you screw up. That was stressful. I decided to leave before I ever screwed anything up. It was my deal.
That is stressful though.
Super stressful.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just from a career standpoint, but from a personal standpoint.
Sure, yeah.
It's nuts.
Especially if it's keeping you up at night.
Exactly.
That's rough. And your wife doesn't appreciate that. Toss and turn in.
Exactly.
And we're back to listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5, part of the Wall Street Business Network. This is Mark Bellows, your host of this weekly business talk show where we bring in various business leaders from throughout the region to talk about their business, their background, things they've learned, lessons, experiences, etc. And today we are talking with Eric Johnson, a partner with GNT Solutions. If you want to get a hold of him, it's ejohnson@gntsolutions.com. You can also call them number 916-830-9400. And so during the break, we were talking a little bit about security and how no one thing can be 100% secure. And so that needs to be a combination of things.
Correct.
So the education, like we said, the education of the employees is important because they're a lot of times they can be the last line of defense, if you will.
Yeah, in information security, we oftentimes talk about layers of information security, and the more
Okay.
layers, the better. And there's no one layer that's the be-all, end-all, perfect solution. I always remind clients when we have discussions around information security, look, there's nothing we can do for you to guarantee you will never be breached outside of unplugging you from the internet.
Yeah.
We disconnect you from the internet, disconnect the phones, disconnect everything. And don't allow people to plug anything into these computers, we can guarantee they won't be breached. But outside of that, and that's just not reasonable. There's always going to be some level of risk that has to be dealt with by an organization as it pertains to information security. But we do talk through the various layers that can be implemented, and training, and staff training is one of those very important layers. I mean, it's kind of new and becoming more and more critical for organizations these days.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to train the staff and to have that be a part of the comprehensive
Correct.
IT security.
Yeah, previous years it was just about, do you have a firewall in place, and do you have antivirus, and are your machines patched and updated? I mean, those are still very critical information security layers. Businesses need to do those things, but there's many other layers that can be added on depending on budgets and appetite for risk within an organization.
So all these malicious hackers out there, I mean, what I always hear about is, they're somewhere deep in Eastern Europe or something. I mean, is there truth to that, or are they just?
There is, but they're really everywhere. I mean, that's the reality. Is it's not just deep in Eastern Europe. They're all over the place. They're domestic as well. It's a highly lucrative business. We always joke that we're on the wrong side of this equation when it comes to making money. They're incredibly well funded. They have incredibly talented teams, and the risks are relatively low compared to the rewards that are reaped. It's not a fair fight, is the reality. And going up against, again, you can go up against some of the biggest companies in the world, and these attackers, given enough time, motivation, and resources, these attackers can get in to the best and best guarded organizations that we have. So it's a scary world out there. It's one where we're always on the defensive. We never get to go on the offense.
That's what we were saying at the break.
Yeah.
It's like the absolute best you can do is to use it in football terms. Football season recently started in college and pros. The best you can do is get a 0-0 tie.
That's the best.
Yeah.
We go out every day to do battle, and what we hope for at the end of the day is that we tie 0-0.
Yeah.
There's never a win. We're never done.
Yeah.
And losing, just allowing one goal to score, if you will, it can be catastrophic. So we work very, very hard to not allow that to happen. But that's the reality. We can never win this game.
And so do these hackers or these attackers, I mean, how often are they ever caught?
I don't have statistics on that, but I can't imagine it's got to be minuscule percentages.
So again, the risk to them
correct
is virtually nothing, really.
Yeah, it's scary.
And do they all take payment in some type of virtual currency nowadays?
That seems to be the common thread of payment processing is by way of Bitcoin or some other virtual currency. Though we were discussing about wire transaction, wire fraud, and that's a big one too. Again, it's spoofing and a vendor, and this happens a lot in the construction space where there's maybe $1 million or multi-million-dollar invoice outstanding, typically being paid by way of wire transfer. That's common for those large invoices.
Right.
And someone will send an email purporting to be from that vendor that's owed the $1 million or $2 million and say, actually our wire information's changed. Here's the new account number. And again, if you're a controller or a CFO of an organization receiving that and you haven't been trained in this, you can make a mistake. And all it takes is one mistake and you're at a loss. So that's where that critical out-of-band verification kicks in. Call a known good number, contact it, go face to face with someone in the building, go walk over to them, make sure that they were in fact the ones that sent that email.
So I'm sure that's part of you guys' training education is the out-of-band.
It is.
Out-of-band verification.
Correct.
Yeah. So you guys, you said 20 to 200 employees is the sweet spot.
That's correct.
So that's what
It's kind of our target market. It's our
so
typical
someone under
clients.
20, is it just really kind of cost prohibitive, or what's the thought there?
You know, we have clients that are under 20 employees. The majority of companies that don't have 20 employees, you know, really don't frequently have a recurring need for professional IT support services. That's a generalization because there are some organizations. We have one client, for example, that's highly regulated, and they have some complex IT needs, and they're only 10 people. But by and large, the organizations that are sub 20 just don't have a need for a lot of IT support, and so you know our typical clients are in the 20 to 200 employee range.
Okay. So if someone is a client of yours, and they have, let's say, a software issue, are there times where you guys can help them with that, or is it typically hardware as you're really?
No, anything that's technology related, we are typically that first point of contact. We act as their help desk. So if they had an IT department that internally, they'd call their IT department for these software related issues. We're that same point of contact. We just happen to be in a different office.
Yeah.
We're outsourced.
So you guys have had to learn a lot of software.
We do. We are the software generalists, I would say, except when it comes to you know, the Microsoft platform. We're experts there,
Sure.
and a few other industry specific line of business applications that are common in small businesses. But I would say that, you know, again, our clients reach out to us with their software issue or hardware issue. We triage that, and then if it's some sort of problem that's specific to a specific vendor, say for example it's QuickBooks problems.
Okay.
QuickBooks problem. We will then be the liaison that gets into it on the phone, and we work with the end user, the employee, our client, as well as with the vendor, QuickBooks in this case, to resolve the issue, just like an internal IT department would do.
And then do you remotely take control of their monitor?
We do.
Okay.
We have a remote management agent that we install on all of our managed systems. That allows us to be able to remote in, do a screen share session with the employee, and see what they're seeing real time, which is,
I mean, our firm has that, and I think that's so helpful.
it's incredibly
When I'm
efficient.
talking to IT, yeah, because if I'm trying to explain what's this one, and he's like, or she's like, why are you clicking here? I'm like, I think I am. If they're not seeing it, then
Yeah, our employees can be remoted in within seconds,
Yeah.
compared to what it used to be. You know, to jump in a car and drive across town,
Right.
and you know, so much of that can be done remotely now.
That's great. That's great. So one of the things that you and I talked about earlier is in Davis, and you're a member of El Macero
Yep.
Golf Club. You're a golfer,
I am.
and one of the things you're getting involved with is called the Capital Cup.
That is correct. So the Capital Cup, I think we're in our 4th year now. It's my first year playing. I have caddied previously. It's a Ryder Cup.
Who's your caddy this year?
My caddy is my business partner, Todd Bolenbach.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun out on the golf course. But
You got to see if you can trust Todd's judgment on some of those shots. But.
yeah, you know,
If
I've got him through an expert green reading program right now,
Oh, good,
so
good.
he should be honed by I think it's October 5th.
Where do you guys
6th,
play?
something
What
like
courses?
that. So we start off at Serrano Country Club up in El Dorado Hills. Then we go to Del Paso here in Sacramento, and then we end up at Granite Bay
Okay.
Country Club on I think it's a Sunday round. Yep.
So it's a 3-day Ryder Cup.
It's a
style.
3-day team-based Ryder Cup format tournament. It is a lot of fun. I'm so excited to be playing this year. And every player raises money for a given charity. And my charity is the First Tee of Greater Sacramento. I'm on the board of the organization. I've been on the board for a number of years now. And it's a youth development charity. They happen to use the game of golf, but it's not just a golf charity. A lot of people think First Tee's a golf charity.
No. It's much more.
It's youth development. They use the game of golf to teach core values and life skills, and it just really resonates with me. The game of golf, I played it since I was 8 years old, and because golf's an individual sport and one where you are your own referee in a lot of situations, you get a lot of great real life learning in values such as honesty, integrity, great judgment, good sportsmanship. We have 9 core values, but those are 4 of them. that are near and dear to me. And the First Tee teaches all of these core values to kids, and they just use the game of golf to as a vehicle to teach those core values.
And the First Tee of Greater Sacramento, how many youth does it serve a year typically?
Oh, I should know that number, but it's over 10,000. I think we're actually at like 18,000 youth that we impact in a given year now.
That's great. So who you caddied for in the past?
I caddied for Steve Fleming,
Okay.
who's the president and CEO of River City Bank,
Right.
and my former employer. He's a great guy. He's actually on the competing team this year.
I was gonna say, so you might play against him this year.
I am playing against. Yeah, I'm playing against Steve's team. I don't know why he didn't choose me to be on his team. I don't know what the deal is there. Steve.
Who's the captain of your team?
Bob Clark from Clark Pacific.
He probably picked you first.
I'm sure that's the case. But
do your handicaps come into play on this?
They do. Yeah. So it's a net-based tournament.
Okay, gotcha. And when is the date? What are the dates?
It's October. I think it's like 5th, 6th, and 7th, something like that.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll finish up a little bit on the Capital Cup. We're talking with Eric Johnson, with partnering with GNT Solutions.
His
His
website.
website.
Yeah. So it's crowdrise.com/Capital Cup, and it's capital with an AL, so like
Yeah.
money capital. Capital Cup 2018.
And are you the only one competing for First Tee?
No, we won't mention who the other.
Okay. But you need to raise more than that.
I need to raise more. Well, I won't though. He's really
Are there
he's
multiple
a
ones?
talented gentleman. There's only me and one other person that's raising money, but for First Tee.
Yeah.
And then there's tons of other charities.
Sure. And if someone wants to give money, can they designate a charity, or does it all go to a pool that gets split up?
It's so if someone wants to donate money, they donate to the player that's playing for that charity.
Gotcha.
If that charity isn't represented, it's not part of the.
Gotcha.
the
And if
deal.
you're, regardless of how you play or score, the money still goes.
So that's something that'll be interesting to cover.
Okay, good.
100% of every donation that I raise goes directly to the First Tee.
Okay.
If my team wins, we split a $50,000 prize pool. Our charity split it, and it's proportional to how much money was raised by each
Who
individual.
puts up the?
DCA partners, I believe,
great.
and maybe some other sponsors as
Okay.
well.
We're back. You listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5. This is Mark Bellows. I'm a tax principal with Clifton Larson Allen in our Roseville office. CLA is a national CPA firm with offices throughout the U.S. and global affiliations throughout the globe. And I particularly work with manufacturers and distributors, real estate investors and developers, and contractors, tax planning, tax strategy, tax compliance, all that sort of stuff. I also do some education for our clients here and there, and I'm going to be doing I'll be the one presenting a couple of webinars coming up on new Section 199 Cap A, so that should be very exciting for all of those who want to spend an hour learning about tax law. Be very exciting. So make sure you go to claconnect.com to find out more information about our webinar series, where you can hook up or sign up for free and follow those. You can also call me 906-784-7800 or mark.bellows@claconnect.com. It's kind of clunky. claconnect.com, and you can always email me with questions, comments, etc. And today we're talking with Eric Johnson, partner with GNT Solutions. E. Johnson at GNTSolutions.com. Does GNT stand for anything, by the way?
We say Great Networking Technologies.
Excellent.
Yeah.
GNT, Great Networking Technology Solutions. Excuse me, GNT Solutions. You can also call them 916-830-9400. So right before the break, we were talking about the Capital Cup coming up on October 5th through the 7th. You guys are going to play. There's 2 teams of 16 each. Is that what it is?
It's I think it's 14 each.
Okay.
28 players.
Okay.
I believe that's the number.
And the teams will play a Ryder Cup style for 3 days, the 3 different courses.
That's correct.
And then and any money raised by you goes to First Tee, Greater Sacramento.
That's correct.
And then if you're on the winning team, there's also a pool of money that will be split amongst the charities of all the winning team.
That's right. So there's a $50,000 prize pool that was contributed by sponsors, and the winning team splits that $50,000 prize pool up amongst their charities. So it's a great event. I mean, we're looking to raise $1.25 million this year. It's the largest golf fundraiser, at least that I'm aware of, in the greater Sacramento area. we just raised a ton of money. Last year we raised over $1 million, and again we're targeting 1.25 million this year.
That's great. That's great. That's a great thing to be a part of too. So does this include like dinner every night?
I don't know that we're doing. I'm definitely planning on being gone from the house for a few days.
Yeah.
I know that breakfast and lunch are provided. I know there's a lot of fun and to be had, and we're going to have a lot of good networking time and enjoyment
Some
post
dice games.
I'm sure there'll be some dice games.
Yeah,
Get some extra money raised for charity.
Of course, yeah, all for charity. Yep. And that's great that the sponsors are willing to do that. So if you want to go to the website to find out more information, or if you want to give some money, crowdrise.com/capital cup, and capital is with an AL, capital cup 2018. So crowdrise.com/capital cup 2018. And you can get some money. Well, that's great. You'll be a part of it this year as a player.
Exactly.
In the past you've been a caddy, now you're a player. And so that's exciting. So good for you. So GNT Solutions, you guys are growing.
Yep.
And so do you anticipate continued growth?
That's our plan. We're targeting to be in the double-digit growth rate over the next few years is our hope.
Is that revenue growth or employee growth?
That's a good question. It is a revenue growth target, but it's a specific type of revenue. So we don't necessarily focus on the top line revenue dollar within the organization. We look at our managed IT services, kind of our recurring revenue number, and that's the one that we want to grow. We had about 35% managed services revenue growth over the last year. That's extreme. I would say we're not looking to, or we'd love to do that again.
35% year over year.
Year over year.
20 years.
Well, exactly.
Sounds good.
Cloud compounds. It'll be bigger than Amazon pretty soon.
Yeah.
But we want to continue growing, and we see the managed IT services market as a market that continues to grow. Businesses continue to need people that know what they're doing from a technology management perspective to be in there and helping their employees out and taking care of their networks and servers.
Well, and recurring revenue is crucial.
It is.
For a business.
It's the lifeblood for us.
It really is, and so that's good. You guys have found ways to generate that.
Yep.
So what about some lessons you've learned along the way? Is there something you've been a part of that just failed and you said, oh, I've learned to do this differently, or the things you've tried that have worked out well and you continue to implement them?
Life is about learning every day.
Absolutely.
And being an entrepreneur and having a business of your own is about learning as well every day. If you're not learning, you're not living. It's my feeling. And so yes, there's been lots of lessons learned, both positive reinforcements that have occurred from things that have worked out, as well as I'll take note of that and not do that and repeat that same mistake again. I think specifically when it comes to lessons learned is focusing on core competencies and focusing on what you, and that's a collective you, meaning the business is good at, is one of the best lessons learned.
There are so many examples of companies littered throughout history that didn't do that, and they pay the price.
When you start out, when you're young in business, young in life too, you start. I think you're rewarded heavily by being a jack of all trades, doing anything for anyone, and because you're trying to figure out what your core competencies are, right? But as you mature in life and in business, as the business matures as well, you start to realize that certain things you're really good at, and there's certain aspects that you're really not good at, and it's best from the business standpoint as well as the life enjoyment standpoint to let those things go that you're not great at, and continue to focus and hone on the areas where you're very strong. And so those are things that we kind of take to heart within GNT Solutions on a regular basis.
Good. That's a good thing to learn. And I think as you said, being an entrepreneur, one of the things with entrepreneurs is you're always, the business is always around you.
Correct.
You never really leave the business, right?
Vacations are non-existent.
They really are. The phone is ubiquitous. Your phone, your iPad, whatnot, whatever tools you have to keep connected. And so I'm sure you experience that a lot. So,
I do. You have to enjoy it, and I do enjoy that.
Yeah. Have you had much success in disconnecting? Well, personally, or have you not?
I think I think that it's something that I focus on, and my partners, we all focus on trying to get better at that. We try to afford that to our employees as well. Mm-hmm. It's not just being an entrepreneur, but you combine that with being in the technology space. I mean, technology never sleeps, right? And there's always problems. There's always some sort of issue that crops up, and it's one of those things that can happen in the middle of the night. And so, we try to impress upon our staff that yes, it is okay to unplug and be gone and put that out of office message up and don't check your phone. And we try to reflect that as management as well. Easier said than done, yes, but I think we're doing a better. As I honestly, reflect on this, I think we are doing that better as a management team now at GNT Solutions than I've done in my past consulting experience. That's for sure.
Good for you.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah. It is challenging to do. I mean, everything, like you said, we're 24/7 nowadays.
It is,
especially in your business because people can be around all the time. Do you work with many retail establishments?
We have a few, but it's definitely not a sector we have a lot of concentration in. Retail-based businesses, we're not an expert in point-of-sale systems. Again, that's kind of an example of where they may call us, and then we'll leverage a point-of-sale vendor to get specific expertise. But we deal with their network infrastructures and support that back-end servers as well, getting connectivity into the cloud, so to speak. We handle that for those establishments too.
Oh, good. So, gosh, what do we want to finish with? Maybe tell us a little bit about, I don't.
What tax stuff's coming down the line that's going to affect GNT companies, services like GNT? We're an S corporation. Pass
through. So you guys could be subject to the 199A deduction.
The 20%, right?
Yeah, could possibly get that.
Yeah, I'll be interested in this webinar you're going to be doing.
Yeah, it would be very interesting for you. I mean, that certainly is one. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Congress and what happens in the midterms, and if parties change at all or not, because there's certainly, if it were to stay, I think, a Republican, there's a lot of impetus for an additional tax break, tax cuts. And were it to change, you could have some impetus towards trying to increase rates or get rid of some of the cuts. So it's always, politically, it's always very interesting to see where it goes. And I think my view is that things have gotten a lot more politicized over the last number of years, and certainly they use tax law as one of those political
footballs
that they throw around. And so anyway, I think that could very well change. It's earlier in my career, you could learn aspects of tax law and it would kind of stay the same and that's just not.
Your world's getting closer to being like my world, Mark. It is. Technology is one of those things that changes all the time. And it used to be, just like you mentioned, tax and accounting. Those are principles that were pretty much set in stone. It never really changed dramatically. But now you're getting turned around all the time these years.
Yeah. I'd imagine you have to learn new things all the time. That's
correct.
Your business.
Yeah, I mean, every single day.
New apps, new programs.
That's another reason that a firm like ours is a good firm to partner with, because our employees are constantly being forced to be exposed to new technologies, either through our own research that we have to do, or we have various clients that are always looking to push the envelope in one way or another and are asking us for information on technology.
All right, well, we've been talking today with Eric Johnson, partner of GNT Solutions. Eric, thanks for being on the show. Great guest, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Johnson at GNTSolutions.com or 916-830-9400. You can listen beyond the numbers. This is your host, Mark Bellows. I'll be back next week.
Well, we survived.
Yes. Thrived, not just survived.